Call to order the regular city commission meeting for the 21st of October 2025. Let the record show we are absent one commissioner, Mr. Riddle. First item this evening is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming this evening. We'll start off with the order of business. Mr. Dawson, are there any changes to the order of business?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the Commission. There is no change to the order of business this evening.
Commissioners, are there any questions on the order of business? If not, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
I have a motion to approve
Second.
with a second. Any further discussion on the order of business? Not, all in favor of the order of business as presented, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our next item is the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda the commission wishes to discuss? There is no discussion on the consent agenda. I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Murphy,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion or questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
chair votes aye. Motion carries. We'll move right into administration and finance. Our first item this evening is 2025 AR write-offs and property assessment. This will be presented by Deputy City Administrator Carlson.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. So before you and in your packet, you have the detailed list that's in front of you that we will be presenting to you as property assessed. The value total would be $18,750, and what this is mowing. If there's mowing that needs to be done on properties and stuff, and the customers don't do it, then we have to go out and do it ourselves, and we charge a fee, which is in our fee schedule. They've not paid the bill, and so we've done all of our collections on ours. They have a full year to be able to pay it, and after that year, we have to assess on property before November 1st. It has to get to Ms. Benstock first, and then it goes to the county. So we've done our portion of all that collections, and then this is the amount that we would be sending for property assessment. The second portion in the finance has two non-utility AR discharge total of $9,281.13. Both of them were accidents back in '23. We do at least 2 years of collection, and we've done all the collecting that we can do. Collection effort is exhausted. Down to the attorney letter is our last one that we put in there for collection, and there has been no response. They're both out of town, so we get the letters back, and we're not having any response. So with that, that is about the total amount of your 90 and over that is in our AR aged, and then this will be processed through that. So the Finance Department recommends approval of the $18,750 to be sent to Stark County Auditor to assess to the property. And then Finance Department also recommends approval of the $9,281.13 to be discharged to bad debt expense that we put on our general fund.
Thank you, Mrs. Carlson. Any questions for Mrs. Carlson?
So these accidents, I mean, they don't have insurance?
We've gone through the insurance companies and everything that we can get. When those reports come to us through the police and the street department, the Public Works Street Department with the signs and have to put up the street poles, we try to get as much information off of those reports so that we can work with them. But some of that, they don't either have insurance or the insurance says it's not on them. So it's on their customer. So we do our due diligence for over almost 2 years in trying to get collections.
So,
So-
go ahead.
Yeah, so there's no recourse against that individual at all for the city for any of that?
Do we?
Except for a credit report,
I-
too.
Does it
Yeah.
get report, I was gonna ask, does it get reported to the credit
We do,
reporting agency
yeah, we do
as a collection?
as a collection, but we do our own collections too, and that's what I'm saying is collection effort has been exhausted, and along with the last thing that we do here in-house is an attorney's letter
I mean, do we,
for collection.
I mean, at some point, does it pay to turn it over to a collection agency? I mean, even if we get 50%, it's better than zero.
We would only get about 40%, and
Well,
they would have to do the skip trace, and in efforts that we've used before, we have not gotten anything back before. They do the same thing we do.
So there's nothing we can do on like processing before that to garner more information at the time?
We do, like Commissioner Murphy, we do, for our collections, we try to find out the insurance company, and we call them ourselves. We don't actually wait
To try
for
to
the
get-
customer. We try to go through the insurance company ourselves to be able to get some of this money back. But as far as collections, for our ARs, we are a very small amount, and it's usually every other year that we have something that has to go through collections and that we have not. But it's usually these accidents on street poles, because they are very expensive.
Do you by chance know like what, I mean, these can't be the only accidents that were in that year, correct? I mean, so most of them are taken care of?
Most, yes,
Most are.
some are taken care of, yes. We do
Okay.
have responsible people that do take care of their bills.
I mean, other than them being uninsured, I'm not sure how the insurance company, I mean, if they ran into a light pole and they have insurance, I don't know how it's not covered. I don't quite understand that, I guess, but.
Commissioner Frederick, I think the one that we had, and I don't know if it's in this one or not, but there was an insurance company that paid out on some damages, but there was an agreement signed at that time by the city, and I don't recall, but it was essentially that the city had agreed to accept that payment for that, and so depending on the circumstances, and of course, that would put us in a situation where we'd have to do some sort of declaratory judgment of some kind against the insurance company for not fully attributing to the payment. So there are certain things that, every situation is going to be fact dependent. Sometimes, and I think Ms. Carlson kind of alluded to this, and I will say this on the private side of practice too, you may get a judgment, but collecting on that judgment is very difficult. Sometimes these individuals are judgment proof in the fact that they don't have any assets to try to collect on, they cannot be located, and then it becomes a challenge to try to collect anything at that point. And I think that's kind of where we are with these individuals and being able to locate them, one, and then two, finding assets that are available for collection to try to recover, and that's often challenging.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions on the 2025 write-offs? If there are none, I'd look for a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion approved by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Our next presentation will be the monthly financial report. This will be presented by Deputy Finance Director Greenwood.
Good
Welcome.
evening, Mayor Decker and Commissioners. Our general fund balance has increased to $11.7 million. We are a little under budget on expenses, right around 67%. Being at the end of quarter three, 75% is our goal. For the 1% sales tax, we received $489,000 in September, which is still an increase overall for 2020, over 2024. At our 0.5%, we received $245,000. The green bars here show the actuals we've received through September each year, and the orange bars are the yearly totals. So for 2025, that's a little bit small, sorry. The 11 million is our budget for the year. That's where we expect to be at the end of the year. So this shows our progress. Hospitality tax is down compared to last year at this time. But it is up overall for the year by $10,500. We received 1.9 million from oil impact revenue, which is the largest payment we've had actually in the past 7 years in 1 month. But this will average out with October's payment. Overall, we are under budget by, or under, compared to last year by about $1 million. So we're keeping a close eye on that. Our general fund is a little ahead on revenues and a little under on expenses so far through the third quarter. We're at 67%. And then our enterprise funds are ahead on revenues from utility billing and right on track for expenses. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Greenwood. Any questions for Ms. Greenwood on the monthly financial report? Do we have any idea, are we tracking the oil for the rest of the year, this final quarter? Any expectations?
I mean, I looked at our October payment we just got, and we're back down to like 1.2 million, so I think we'll come in under what we did last year for the year.
I saw we projected 15 million, so I know we're gonna be close.
Yep, we'll be close to that.
And then we'll have to see. I don't think we've fully realized yet totals from TJ Maxx and Hobby Lobby being in town.
No, I know we were expecting to see an increase in that, but yeah, there's a couple months lag, and I think those stores open at the end of August, so I think next month we'll probably start to see that come in.
Get out there and support your local economy.
I am.
I think people have been.
So,
Thank you.
all right, thank you. We'll have our HR monthly report. This will be presented by HR Director Nominick.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. First off, we have the police officer position. We currently have 5 positions open. We are in the interview stage for those. Public safety telecommunicator, we did have 2 positions. We've got 2 in background, so hopefully we'll have some offers in those positions filled soon.
Ms. Nominick, how many, of the 5 openings, how many applications do we have that we're interviewing?
Let me look here. So that's a tough one to answer right now. I don't know that I can give you that. I can send it to you, but we have it open until filled. So as we get them, then we'll interview. So I can find that out and send
Deputy
it to you.
Chief Hansen is sneaking
Yeah,
up
he's
behind
dead
you.
right now.
Sneak up behind you.
Good evening,
You're gonna be like a ninja.
I'll bail her out.
Scare you, so.
So we had five openings. We have 2 more to interview for a second interview, but we ended up only having a total of 5 applicants show up that day. So 5 openings with 5 people that showed up for the job.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So next up, we have fire department. We've got the firefighter paramedic position. 3 openings there. We did make 1 hire, and we continue to work on those other positions. We're doing some part-time positions also with paramedic to get those filled. We have 2 openings there. A part-time firefighter, we've had some openings there, and we have some people in background already for those positions. The firefighter EMT, we just recently closed that position, and we'll start the interviews, getting those set up and ready for interviews. And then the administrative assistant position at the fire department was recently opened and filled with Brody Plattner. Public Works, we've got, first up, street department, 2 openings. We did fill 2 positions, David Rohr and Rico Nell. And then the solid waste operator position, we had 3 openings, and we did fill all 3, Gabriel Bell, Brian Murphy, and Siobhan Graves. Solid waste foreman, that was opened internally, and we promoted John Reese to that position. The scale service representative, we are in the interview phase for that position. Utility operator, that one is kind of on hold right now. We don't currently have it open. The water reclamation facility manager, that's been a little bit difficult to fill. We've got it out there. We're working on where we need to advertise and how we can be more creative with that. We've gotten a few applications, but have it open until filled, so we'll be reviewing all of those applicants soon. And then the buildings and grounds operator, we've got 1 opening in that position. We don't have interviews yet on that. Library, we've got one opening for the limited hour. We've not made an offer yet for that position. And then the limited hour page position, we did have 2 openings and filled both of those, Meredith Robinson and Grace Hicks. City assessor position, we had 2 interviews, 2 applicants we interviewed, and we did do second interviews. And so we're on that offer stage right now for that position. The branch office manager, we had an opening. We did fill that with Heidi Ward. That's for the motor vehicle department. And then finance, we had a finance specialist position. We did open it and then decided to reevaluate the job description. So we changed the job description a little bit. Pay grade staying the same, but we're changing the title and some of the wording in the job description. We're gonna make it a finance senior accountant title and see if we can get some applicants fitting more of what we're looking for. And then museum, we've got some part-time position. They were doing interviews today for that part-time visitor services attendant. So hopefully they had some good luck there. Deputy Clerk of Court 1, we had 1 opening and then 1 that was approved for the 26 budget. So they did make 2 offers, and 1 will be a hire for next year and 1 will hire now. So they're both in the background stage for that. And that's all I've got if you have any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Nominick. Any questions for Ms. Nominick? It looks like we're getting to some of the positions.
Yeah, slowly.
Chipping away.
Yep,
All right,
thank you.
thank you. We'll move into public safety. We'll have our quarterly report, and this will be presented by Deputy Chief of Police Hanson.
Good evening, President Decker, Commissioners. So I've got our quarterly report in front of you. This would be July through September. In front of you, we'll start off with our PSAP Center. Typically, these 3 months are historically our 3 busiest months, whether that be in dispatch or whether that be Animal Control Division, Patrol Division. This year was no different. You can see by whether it be our non-emergency or our 911 calls, this 3-month stretch tends to be our busiest. Calls for service, this would be the patrol officers and investigations division. Again, the 3 busier months historically. Traffic stops, we have seen this increase kind of all year. There's a slight increase over what you guys saw in the second quarter. the citations and warnings mix inside of that for traffic safety. Couple pieces to highlight specifically on these accidents. The number is not necessarily that much of an increase from what we typically see second quarter or third quarter historically. However, we did have the one fatality. That would have been the Sunday, kind of late afternoon of Labor Day weekend. That was a single vehicle ATV accident that took a life of one individual. And we've got several injury accidents on there. Not necessarily like eye-poppingly jump out. One thing I wanted to highlight on that is out of those 11 injury accidents, 6 of those resulted in arrests. So whether those arrests were coming from, like some of them would maybe be like a DUI, driving under the influence, reckless driving, some of them even hit and run type situation, but I just wanted to highlight some of those. 510 total arrests, a slight increase from what you would have seen back in second quarter or even the third quarter of last year. Chief likes to highlight a couple of these pieces here, whether it be the drugs associated with an arrest, alcohol associated arrest, any of our violent crimes and our thefts. You'll see once we jump into the investigations piece, I'm just going to kind of highlight a couple of our incidences that we took place inside of our arrest classifications here. You can see we went all year basically with not having any A felonies, but we had a couple of them bounce this quarter. We went through about a 2-week stretch in September where we got overly busy. A couple of those we had done some press releases, and we had, in case you guys haven't or you don't, this is for the public to do a plug for our podcast. Lieutenant Handel and I, we do kind of freelance and talk about some of our stuff, and the last episode we did was coming like right out of these, but we had 2 A felony level sexual assaults that had taken place that investigations had processed, worked, and we made arrests on. You can see we had a jump in our B felonies and C felonies coming out of September in there. This would be resulting from, if you remember, in last month when we had our situation where we had a shooting down the Carroll's Trailer Park. Our investigations division had just cleaned out those 2 sexual assault cases the week before. That week they worked hard. We actually ended up having 7 successful arrests. They ended up serving, you'll see it here with their numbers, several new cases. They're currently sitting at, as we move into October, these numbers can be kind of goofy, as we work into October, currently sitting at 45 open cases that our investigations team is trying to actively work in. But they did have a very successful September for sure. This is kind of what they were busy with. As you can see, there's a huge number in there, in that 52, and that's under the search warrants. That situation on Carroll's Trailer Court was very labor intensive for our, not just our investigations division, but our patrol division helped out big. Our analysts helped out. Those search warrants are very labor intensive. You're having to submit for these warrants, you're having to write your affidavits, they're coming in and you're processing them. You're giving back to the court what they had. You can see in here we had 52 of those that popped up. And then if you attach it to the column that's right next to it, those digital forensics, they also ran 17 digital forensics on that case also. A lot of those cases come from that. Again, this is just highlighting kind of what I talked about. I just kind of jumped ahead of it. 49 call-outs. They were also crucial in helping us going back into our injury accident. It was a couple of weeks before that. They came out and they helped on that one also. We had kind of a horrific accident that we lucky it didn't actually take anybody's life. Led to a couple of injuries. That was the one that took place northwest part of town on 10th Avenue West in a residential area actually. We had posted some pictures of that one, but that one's where we had a red Corvette driven by an intoxicated driver driving upwards of like interstate speeds, 70, 80 miles an hour down a residential area, colliding with teenage driver. Like I said, we got pretty lucky that we didn't have anybody more seriously injured out of that accident. Jump into behavioral health. This has kind of been an ongoing theme. We didn't have anything necessarily eye-popping out of this. Out of all the suicidal threats, no actual suicides in this 3-month stretch here. Training was a big month. Coming out of this, we had several different conferences that we sent some non-sworn staff to, which added to this. It's a busy month for our SROs to go through conferences and to get some training and get them trained up, getting ready for the school season And then we had also, we'll touch on it later, but we also had our NDPOA conference, which is the North Dakota Peace Officers Association. We hosted that, so we were able to take advantage of a lot of post hours in there. Our records division, nothing of wild to highlight here. They've just been busy processing our warrants, sex offender registrations. Jump into our animal control unit. Typical numbers that they see during the warm weathers. They did end up having one animal that had come into the shelter that we had to euthanize. It was our first one of the year that we ended up having a euthanization on. I asked for details on that. There was 2 young kittens that were surrendered, came into the shelter, and one of them started not acting well, took it into the vet, and it had some kind of a rare disease that would have been very expensive for us to try to heal it, and the vet thought it was best to put the 3-month-old cat down. They've been very successful at continuing to adopt all those animals out, though. One piece to highlight here, we kicked school off, obviously, the end of August. You can see there's a number. The one number here is the high school numbers out of the 8 juvenile arrests and the 1 adult arrest. We've only been in school for about 5 weeks at this point in time. We ended up having a situation and one kind of, it was over like a lunch hour, right after like a lunch, after one lunch hour at the high school where we ended up having a fight. One of our SROs was actually got involved in the fight, was assaulted in this situation. We had called adults on scene and we ended up making an adult arrest also that got involved in this assault. But that's what you can see there, kind of jumped off. Our SRO is school administration. They worked together. They actually processed that thing out really well. Led to some successful arrests, and then they also, just school-wise, they went through hearings for all these kids on whether they should be allowed back in school or not. This is the area, public safety or community safety coordinator. Sergeant Frederick is kind of in charge of this. Again, a busy month for him. He's been doing a lot of coaching and training when it comes to like situational awareness and ALICE trainings and things like that. A lot of safety presentations of recently. This piece right here, I say it on our podcast, but I'll say it again. I didn't necessarily think that this was as good of an idea as Chief thought it was going to be, but I would have been very wrong. He landed this idea. It seems like it's been a good thing. Even as I walked out of the building here about an hour ago, there was somebody waiting in there to use this area again. So the safe exchange zone, we've been seeing it, whether it be for people that are buying things online and just want to go somewhere where they feel safe, make a transaction, or if they want to do, you know, we've typically been like a child custody exchange spot, but got to hand it to Chief. He would have been right on this. I'd have been wrong.
I've used it.
There you go. 2 pieces to highlight on this one. This was a very cool experience for our department and for our TAC team specifically. This is a picture of part of our SWAT contingency here out of Dickinson and Vice President Vance. This was the team that worked probably closest with that detail when he came through on the 4th of July there. They got to take a picture of him, got to meet him, and we got to kind of have a dry run for next year's, which will probably be busy with a lot more of these types of things. That SWAT team also had quite the call out. If you recall back at the end of July, we were over in Richardton, and I had told those guys when I got done, I think I was on the TAC team for 12, 13 years, and tracking and watching them process that situation, I don't know that I've seen a suspect make them work harder as far as utilizing tactics and tools than that person had done. And between them and negotiations, they did an excellent job to make that a peaceful resolution. So kudos to those guys. Just some of our activities now to finish out this quarter. Chief Ciani had all year, he kind of had a vision of what he wanted the 125th anniversary to look like of the police department. So it was actually July 31st, happened to be the actual anniversary date of the police department here in Dickinson. So we had brought back a bunch of our retirees. One really cool picture, you can see it up in the upper right there. Those are all 5 of our police chiefs dating back to 1992. We got a picture of those guys. But we brought a lot of retirees back and just kind of let them see the new building if they hadn't seen it and kind of mingle and reminisce. Pretty successful little day we had there. National Night Out was hosted here right next door at Legacy Square, beginning portion of August. We had 500 hot dogs and we ran out. So it was a good year. The year before, I want to say we had 400 and we had some left over. So whether it was a location, timing, but it seemed like it was a pretty successful event this year. Last one I think we got on here, this was a big deal for us. So we typically host this conference. It's like once every, somewhere around like 10 to 12 years. It'll come back to Dickinson. We had not won that traveling trophy that you'll see there for quite a few years. That's the 4-man pistol team. It's kind of a coveted trophy amongst law enforcement in the state. You try to put your 4 best pistol shooters on a team and you just compete against the other agencies in the state. We had talked about it, and being as we were on our home soil, we really wanted to bring it back. We hadn't had this trophy in, I want to say it had probably been about 15, 16 years. And you can see up there, our 4-man team, they did it, they won. It was consisted of Mike Hansen, Todd Weiler, Alex Schroeder, and Andy Stidham. So those guys took the championship, and we were able to win that trophy on our home soil. And that's all I have for you, unless you have some questions for me.
Well, congratulations to those guys, and congratulations on all your celebrations this year. I think, like you said, National Night Out was well attended, and the birthday party, I think everybody appreciated that. And I know you guys did an excellent job during the security detail for the vice president. I think the safe zone's a great idea. In years past, it was always kind of you try to set something up with someone if you wanted to, especially if you're buying, you're like on a BizMan or something like that, and you want to buy a weapon. You want to set up someplace
Right.
where there's cameras, and no, it's a great idea, and it's you guys are doing a great job out there, as all our city employees are, and appreciate it. One quick thing for those that are interested in adopting something at the animal shelter. Where would they locate the program? You guys have a link on your website?
So
Okay.
on our website, we've got a link into our animal shelter, and then our animal shelter is always, they're basically staffed out there from early morning hours until late evening with the 4 staff that they have out there. They'll do about anything. They can meet you on your time frame. Very simple, easy process. We don't charge things out. We typically don't do the vetting piece to it. That's one of the agreements that you're making when you adopt some of our animals. But yeah, we try to make it as easy as possible to move those animals into a new home.
All right. Any other questions for Chief Hansen?
No.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll move into the public hearing. First up this evening, we have representatives from Dickinson State University with an update.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks, everybody. My name is Scott Molander. I'm the 14th president of Dickinson State University. 120 days on the job. My first presentation to the city, hopefully not my last. So we got, I don't know, do I got to click? Is that this thing? I got to do it myself? This might be above my technology pay grade, but I'll give it a shot. Oh, yeah, look at me go. All right. Fall enrollment, down, as you can see, all the numbers here. A couple of things, you can see transfer students. International was down, obviously, with some of the things we had with the current administration and all the visas. Credit hour production will be probably at like 1.6 or 1.7%, which is the real number. That's what the school gets paid on, is how many credit hours you produce. What else we got? Oh, so campus facilities update. So the ag classroom was done on time. We held classes this fall. It looks fantastic. When are we going to wrap the outside, Ty? December. We'll get the outside of the classroom wrapped to match the rodeo arena. The rodeo arena is supposed to be turned over to us on December 1st. Woods Hall construction will go on pretty much all through the year. That'll be ready, the top floor and the entire building, in fall of 26. Occupancy was strong, pretty much 100%. Once in a while, we have to leave a few beds open for medical reasons for people who can't have other people in the room. So residence halls, strong there. Next, just some numbers there. As you know, the economic impact for Dickinson State just came out in February 25. So that's our numbers at 85 million. Some of my goals is community engagement. I'm trying to get out as much as I can, being very visible. I'm slowly weaning back a lot of my meetings that I do on campus and try to be out on Wednesdays and Thursdays and Friday afternoons in the community. Recently had my second meeting at Stark Development. If I could find the right office, I'd be okay. Only took me 3 tries today. But I'll get it, so that's really one of my goals, is to be out and be really visible with the community, connected. Call if you need anything. My email is posted on the website. That's best for me. I email and I keep up on it pretty good. A couple other things that I really want to get engaged in is workforce development. So I recently have gone through the Southwest and taken sort of our 8 counties in our region, and I'm dialing into that, and then we're going to mirror up what our curriculum is and then use those tools to recruit to the students in the area, especially those that want to stay here. That's sort of one of my goals, is to stay, to educate people in place. We relaunched our theater program last spring. Ty did as acting president. We had a fantastic play called The Foreigner, and 2 of the actors in the play just got Kennedy Awards yesterday. So it's phenomenal. They were great. I went all 3 nights. It was a fantastic play. A couple other things that we're doing. We're going to have one cohesive calendar. We're down to the last 2 software developers or software platforms. So we're going to have one cohesive calendar so that everybody can sign up on the Dickinson State website for anything going on campus, but you can be very selective. Athletics, theater, music, other functions, plus people will be able to apply, and we'll have a map on there for your rooms and everything else to rent rooms and facilities on campus. One other big note on workforce development is we're working on a campaign for what I call the last mile, which is people who don't have a degree but have college credits, and so to help them finish up and help them develop. I've had a couple meetings with some businesses in town about some skills that they're looking for, and we've got some MOUs coming with UND and NDSU so that under their accreditation banner, so to speak, that we can develop the workforce here, sometimes through their junior year here in a couple of programs. So look out for that coming soon on the information side. Ty, what else you got? There's no way I covered it all. So, questions?
Commissioners, any questions for President Molander? I know the homecoming was excellent.
Yeah, I was
That
glad to see
activity?
that the arrest record was down for that weekend. It was quite the event, and this is sort of my last thing. Yeah, so geo-fenced, it said 6,000 at the stadium that day. Tickets scanned 4,000. So we got a couple holes in the system for sure. Don't know if the geo-fencing, but yeah, it was incredible. People had come back who hadn't been back 20, 30, 40 years. And so I took the time to engage a lot of them as much as I could. Ran around all weekend, and it was a lot of fun. Glad to see the arrests weren't very high on that weekend, because it was a good event. We put everybody up at the Roosevelt.
No, it was a great event. I mean, there were so many people there, and just at the tailgating, ran into so many people. Ran into my old high school wrestling coach. And,
Oh my!
Yeah, and it was a great event, and if you weren't there early, you weren't getting fed. I can tell you
Yeah.
that. They cleaned the
And we
house.
doubled the size of our normal tailgate
Right.
area, and it was packed.
Yeah.
Like, there was people that were getting kind of a little overheated in the back for sure.
Yeah, no, great event.
So I think I've kind of covered some of this. A couple of highlights. We hired our first campus activities director full-time. That's all they're focused on. So a lot of activities, and we're tracking all that data because I want to bring a really vibrant campus life for everybody that's here. And then I talked about workforce readiness and a couple other things there. So I think I got everything covered that I wanted to cover. If there's anything else.
No,
Thanks.
going forward, I see a lot of good things happening, and really appreciate all the hard work from you and your staff.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. I'm having a blast. I'm glad to be back. For those of you that don't know, I was born and raised in Crosby, so I'm definitely not a young'un, but I'm not a new one to North Dakota for sure. So I'm glad to be back and please call, stop, email, stop up to the office, whatever you want. I'm here for everybody. Okay? Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, our next public hearing is a Chapter 16 Environment. This will be presented by City Planner Burchek.
Good evening, Commissioners. Natalie Burchak, City Planner. So, Community Development staff is requesting the approval of a zoning text amendment to Section 16-170 zoning and Section 16-174 distance limitations and spacing requirements in Chapter 16 Environment of the Dickinson Municipal Code in order to remove language regarding the requirement of a conditional use permit for any oil wells. So this is a continuation of ZTA-005-2025, which was approved at the previous City Commission meeting. It was there briefly. There we go. So the main changes for Section 16-170, as you see, we're removing a majority of that language that primarily focuses around the requirement of a conditional use permit, and instead replacing it to say that oil, gas, and service wells shall be permitted in the agricultural or AG and general industrial or GI zoning districts after approval from the North Dakota Industrial Commission is obtained. The requirement to have a public hearing in front of City Commission is still in place. It's just not mentioned in this section. And then additionally, we're changing Section 16-174, which mentions Board of City Commissioners approval of a conditional use permit in point number 3. And we are replacing that whole section just to state the North Dakota Industrial Commission, again, to bring up this code to Century Code requirements. As of now, staff has not received any public comments regarding this proposal. I'm here to answer any questions that you guys might have. Staff would recommend approval of this amendment.
Thank you, Ms. Burchek. Any questions for Ms. Burchek or staff? And if I'm correct, this is ordinance 1835. Any questions before I open the public hearing? Commissioners don't have any questions, so I'll open the public hearing. If anyone from the public wishes to come forward, please state your name. I'll let the commission know your questions or concerns. Anyone from the public? Is there anyone from the public that has any questions or concerns on the zoning text amendment ordinance 1835? Seeing no one coming forward with any concerns or questions, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, do you have any further discussion or questions for Ms. Burchek or staff? Not, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Bear.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Murphy. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next public hearing is a Chapter 36-25 blighted structure penalty. This will be presented by City Attorney Wenko.
Thank you, Mr. President, Commissioners. Included in your packet is an ordinance updating and amending Chapter 36-25 with regard to the blighted structure penalties. The purpose of this amendment is to essentially clean up and clarify our penalty sections. I think when you're dealing with code enforcement and when you're dealing with zoning and all those types of issues, sometimes you have multiple sections. And so the point of this is to make it readily, easily, and able to be found in the section in which it's applicable. So essentially, we're just cleaning this up a little bit, not only for the public, but for city staff and myself. That is going to amend and essentially add in the violation, which we're currently charging as a Class B misdemeanor. Staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Ms. Wenko. Any questions for City Attorney Wenko or city staff on the blighted structure penalty in 36-25, the clarification, which will be ordinance 1836? There are no questions for city staff. We'll open up the public hearing. If anyone from the public wishes to come forward, has any questions or concerns, please state your name and let us know your concerns on 1836. Anyone from the public? Is there anyone from the public that has any questions or concerns? Seeing no one has any questions or concerns on the blighted structure penalty, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, do you have any further questions or comments on 1836? Hearing none, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Our next public hearing is Chapter 62-65, a permit penalty, and this will be presented by City Attorney Wenko.
Thank you, Mr. President, Commissioners. Included in your packet for consideration is an amendment to Chapter 62-65. This would clearly identify the penalty for failing to obtain a permit or operating outside the scope of the permit. City staff would recommend approval, and I would stand for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Wenko. Any questions on this permit penalty? This will be ordinance 1837.
And Mr. President, I did notice in the packet, it looks like we do have the ordinance identified under Chapter 62-65 is actually the next one, so I don't believe the correct one is in the packet.
So this
again-
would be 1837,
Yep.
though, right?
Yeah, yes, it's still 1837, but we'll have to switch out that draft in there.
Are there any other comments before I open up the public hearing? I'll open up the public hearing. Anyone from the public has any questions or concerns, please come forward, state your name, and let us know your concerns or questions. Again, this is 1837. Anyone have any questions on ordinance 1837, the permit penalty update? Anyone have any questions? Seeing no one has any comments or questions on our permit penalty, close the public hearing. Commissioners, any further questions or comments? If there are none, I'd look for a motion on 1837.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Murphy. Second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. And our last public hearing will be at Chapter 8, International Property Maintenance Code penalty. And this will be presented by City Attorney Wenko.
Thank you, Mr. President and Commissioners. Enclosed for your review is a proposed ordinance change that would amend Section 8-195. This would clearly state the penalty for a violation of the International Property Maintenance Code. We do deal with the International Property Maintenance Code quite a bit on the code enforcement side, and especially through my office if it gets to that point. So the purpose of this amendment is to make it very clear within code what the penalty is so that we're not having to go back to multiple subsections of the code to try to locate it. So again, that's beneficial for me, code enforcement, as well as the public. City staff would recommend approval, and I would stand for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Wenko. Again, this is an amendment to Section 8-195. Any violation of the provision of the International Property Maintenance Code shall be a Class B misdemeanor. Commissioners, do you have any questions on 1838? This is ordinance 1838. There are no questions. I'll open the public hearing. Does anyone from the public have any questions on our amendment to the International Property Code penalties? Anyone from the public? Anyone from the public wishes to come forward, please state your name, let us know your concerns on ordinance 1838. Seeing no one from the public has any comments or questions on 1838, commissioners, do you have any questions? Hearing none, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Murphy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Ms. Frederick.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. We'll move back into our normal agenda. Find the last one here. We'll move into community development. And the first thing up is we have an MSA amendment and order form for Eagleview letter of support. This will be presented by Engineering Community Development Director Skolochik.
Good evening, Mr. President and Commissioners. For your consideration is an amendment to the Master Service Agreement, which was signed in 2021 for Pictometry International Corp., doing business as Eagleview. Benefits of this MSA versus having an individual contract is that we have a little bit better controls or consistencies on our terms and conditions, regardless of which vendor we'd be using. In this case, also, then we'd have an upgrade to our imagery acquisition, which is planned for the fall of 2026. The image resolution would go from what's currently a 3-inch square down to a 1-inch square, which would be a significant improvement in the image quality. And then ultimately, then this would add an additional flight planned for the fall of 2029. By adding the flight in 2029, this extends some savings that we would realize for the additional flight. City engineering staff recommends approval. Stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Skolochik. Any questions on this MSA? There are no questions. I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Murphy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. We have a rezoning request for the Stockard First rezone. This will be presented by City Planner Burchek.
Good evening, Commissioners. Natalie Burchak, City Planner. So the applicant is requesting approval of a zoning map amendment from low-density residential, or R1, to general commercial, or GC, for Lot 3 of Block 2 of the Stockart's First Edition subdivision located within the City of Dickinson's extraterritorial zone. So the purpose of this rezoning is to conform with the zoning pattern that you can see to the west prior to the replatting of the property into one lot, which will be done by the Stockart's Third Edition final major subdivision plat, which will be heard after this project. As of now, staff has received no public comments regarding this rezone request or the associated plat. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have, and staff would recommend approval of this rezoning request contingent upon the approval of Stockart's Third Edition final major subdivision.
Thank you, Ms. Burchek. This is 1832, ordinance 1832. The Stockard rezone. Commissioners, do you have any questions for city staff?
I think it's a resolution number, not an
Yep.
ordinance number.
Okay.
So it should be 4325.
Okay.
For a rezone, isn't it an ordinance?
Oh,
we
I'm
have it on-
sorry.
we
I'm
have it-
sorry.
Yeah, we have it on our
I
packet.
am one step ahead of you.
Yes,
My
you are.
fault.
Yeah.
Jumping the gun.
I'm just making sure you're on your toes.
Okay. I'm sure Ms. Burchek probably reviewed this enough that she's probably burned into her
little bit.
brain. So yes, ordinance 1832. Any questions? Now I look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Murphy,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Now we'll go on to that resolution. Final plat of the Stockard Third Final Subdivision.
Thank you, Commissioners. Natalie Burchek, City Planner. So the applicant is requesting approval of a final major plat for the Stockert Third Edition Major Subdivision. The proposed subdivision is a replat of lots 1 through 3 of Block 2 of the Stockert's first subdivision and all of Stockert's second subdivision, located in the western half of Section 22, Township 139 North, Range 96 West of within the City of Dickinson's extraterritorial zone. So the proposed subdivision is approximately 8.27 acres, and according to the applicant, the purpose of this subdivision is to combine the existing commercial lots in order to construct an additional commercial building. So a public hearing on the preliminary plat for this was heard at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on October 13, 2025, and Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval without conditions. As of now, City staff has received no public comments. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have, and staff recommends approval of the final major subdivision contingent on the approval of REZ-006-2025, which was heard previously.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Burchek. I think this is 43-2025, right? Correct. Right. And do we have any questions for city staff on this? I think this property is located south of town.
Yes, so just in the extraterritorial zone, just to the south of city limits.
Any questions? Again, this is resolution 43-2025, Stockert Third Final Subdivision. If there are no questions, I'd look for a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second?
second by Commissioner Murphy. Any further comments or questions? Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Ms. Burchek, you have the Transportation Master Plan and Comprehensive Plan presentation.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. Natalie Burchek, City Planner. So the city is looking for the City Commission to approve of the Transportation Master Plan and Comprehensive Plan. So this is the Transportation Master Plan and Comprehensive Plan update that the city has been working with KLJ to draft up since, I believe, late 2023. They previously presented about this plan at the October 7th City Commission meeting. As of now, we are just looking for a resolution to accept this document to kind of influence policy moving forward. However, we are not adopting this plan as policy itself. This will be used to influence ordinances in the future that will amend our future land use map and urban service area, everything that'll just kind of be adopted by ordinance in the future. So I'm here to answer any questions that you guys may have, and city staff would recommend approval.
Thank you, Ms. Burchek. Any questions on the Transportation Master Plan and Comprehensive Plan? This is resolution 44-2025. Any questions? There are no questions. I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second?
second by Commissioner Murphy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
We have a Chapter 52 zoning text amendment, lot modification requirements. This first reading was held last, the earlier meeting in the month, and this is ordinance 1833.
Thank you, Commissioners. Natalie Burchek, City Planner. So Community Development staff is requesting approval of a zoning text amendment to Section 52-1 definitions and Section 52-4 procedure in Chapter 52 subdivisions of the Dickinson Municipal Code. This is to include requirements that implement a maximum lot size for any lot combinations done administratively, and to prevent administrative lot modification processes from being utilized in conjunction with rezone requests. So additionally, it will also require the city planner's signature for any lot modifications. Currently, it just requires city engineer signature. In the future, it will require both of those positions to sign off. The intent of this amendment is to prevent the administrative lot modification process from significantly altering the characteristics of surrounding areas while circumventing the typical subdivision process. As directed by City Commission at the last meeting, the point C for the lot combinations and point D for the lot splits were amended to read to be that the property cannot have been rezoned within the past 6 months. It was not updated on the presentation, but it was updated in the ordinance that was included in your packet. So that change has been made since the last reading. As of now, I am here to answer any questions that you guys might have, and staff would recommend approval of this text amendment.
Thank you, Ms. Burchek. Any questions on 1833? There are no questions on 1833, the zoning text amendment, lot modification requirements. I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
And then we have the Chapter 62 zoning text amendment, vehicle storage and auto services. Ms. Burchek.
Thank you, Commissioners. Natalie Burchak, City Planner. So Community Development staff is requesting approval of a zoning text amendment to Section 62-10 definitions, Table 62-162-2 permitted uses by zoning districts, which is in Section 62-162 development regulations, and Section 62-462 commercial uses, found in Chapter 62 zoning of the Dickinson Municipal Code. The purpose of this amendment is to clarify the classification and design standards of outdoor storage and vehicle storage in relation to the auto services use. And the intention of this amendment is to clearly define the standards that the City of Dickinson utilizes regarding any vehicles currently under being repaired at auto service companies. Again, this is not changing how we currently enforce the zoning code. It's just clarifying those rules and requirements. This was previously heard at a public hearing at the previous City Commission meeting on October 7th. I can read out all of the changes that are being made if the City Commission desires, but I don't know what button I just pressed. But I'm here to answer any questions that you guys might have, and Community Development staff would recommend approval of this text amendment.
Thank you, Ms. Burchek. Any questions on 1834? It is a zoning text amendment for vehicle storage and auto services. Hearing no questions, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Murphy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Dr. Barrett?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move into the 2025 water main replacement SRF loan resolution for authorized representative. This will be presented by Engineer Community Development Director Skolacek.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a resolution to authorize Katie Greenwood, the Deputy Finance Director, as the authorized individual on behalf of the City of Dickinson to execute the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund and Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan through the North Dakota Department of Environmental Quality. This loan currently has a total amount of $1,591,000. And the intent of this loan was to replace cast iron water mains and service lines along the project route. In this case, this loan was previously approved. We're just changing the authorized person with some staff changes, so ultimately changing Katie to be the authorized person. This is actually the same circumstance for the next two items on the agenda. There's no other changes to the loans or any other circumstances with the loans, just changing the authorized person. So engineering and public works staff recommend approval.
Thank you, Josh. Any questions on the lead service line replacement? Authorized representative signature. This should be Resolution 45-2025. If there are no questions, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Murphy,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
chair votes aye, motion carries. We'll move into, let's see. So the next item, we should be on H, lead service line replacement, SRF loan resolution, authorized representative.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a resolution to authorize Katie Greenwood, the Deputy Finance Director, as the authorized individual on behalf of the City of Dickinson to execute the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund loan through the North Dakota Department of Environmental Quality. Loan details listed below. Total drinking water SRF loan amount requested is $2 million with the intent of using this specifically for the lead service line replacements. Any loan balance applied to this loan carry the interest rate of 0.5% interest, and this loan, if you recall from when this was originally approved, has a 75% loan forgiveness for the lead service line replacements only. Again, this one is just to authorize Katie Greenwood as our authorized representative to administer this loan. No other changes to the loan are included, and city engineering and public works staff recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklaszczyk. This is ordinance 47-2025. Again, it is authorizing the signature of Ms. Greenwood for our lead service SRF loan. Are there any questions? Well, that's 46,
46.
right? I jumped. I'm writing ahead because I'm looking ahead here. 46. I'm
Yeah.
just, yeah. 46. My bad. Any questions? Not, I look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
chair votes aye, motion carries. Now on to resolution 47-2025. And that will be our Sim Street East to 9th Street East SRF loan resolution, authorized representative. Mr. Sklaszczyk.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a resolution to authorize Katie Greenwood, the Deputy Finance Director, as the authorized individual on behalf of the City of Dickinson to execute the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund and Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan through the North Dakota Department of Environmental Quality. Some of the loan details that are listed below: the drinking water SRF loan amount is $1 million, and the Clean Water Drinking State Revolving Fund loan amount is $1 million. The drinking water SRF loan is intended to replace approximately 2,150 lineal feet of cast iron water main and service lines along the project route. The Clean Water SRF loan is intended to be used for the storm sewer piping extension from 2nd Street East to 5th Street East, and then ultimately replacing or relining approximately 2,535 lineal feet of sanitary sewer main along the project route. All remaining loan balances carry an interest rate of 2.0%. City engineering and public works staff recommend approval. Same circumstances as the last two. This is just changing the authorized individual. No other changes to the loans.
Thank you, Mr. Sklaszczyk. Any questions on the authorized representative for the SRF loan for Sims 2nd Street East to 9th Street East? Hearing none, I look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Murphy,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. I think that is it for the agenda. We'll move into, we have no one signed up for public comments this evening. And commissioner comments. Anything, commissioners? Nothing. Commissioners don't have any comments, so I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned.